We have some answers directly from the SBA on the EIDL loan, the loan increases, and the EIDL grant, and the timeline as to what's going on here. So I just got all this information and I felt the need to make this video ASAP, so I'm recording it and I'm just gonna post this darn thing as soon as it's uploaded. So let's just go ahead and dive into the questions. The questions that are gonna be covered in this video are the EIDL loan approval for the increase, the data, and the timeline around that, because I know there's a lot of people who are really curious as to how many of these loans have actually been approved and funded for the increases, and how long should I expect to wait for these loan increases, EIDL grant approvals and the speed of that process, if we can expect this upwards trend that we've seen in the last week or so, in what order grants are getting approved, approval tips and tricks for both the grant and the loan, and what we can expect for the future. So this is directly from the SBA. If you have any questions that aren't covered in this video that you feel aren't covered anywhere, then I can ask the SBA, leave that down in the comments below. And if you see a good question, make sure you give it an upvote. That way I can definitely see it and get that question addressed from the SBA, because I know there's a lot of people sitting there frustrated and just unsure as to what exactly is going on, and I am here to help you understand what's going on and get you funded at the end of the day. That's the goal. So let's dive into the questions here. First one, do we have any data on the total funded EIDL loan increases or a percentage of the total funded? I was surprised to actually receive an answer on this. I was just kind of throwing it out there, hoping that I'd get an answer, because this isn't as a part of the reports that we see, the weekly EIDL reports. Loan increases, as of right now, are not in there. So the answer here, since the new EIDL loan limit policy was implemented on April 6, 2021, the SBA has approved over 22,000 loan increases totaling over $3 billion. Now, we don't know exactly how many total loan increase requests they've received, but I'm sure it's far more than 22,000. So 22,000 is on the lower end, but honestly, it was higher than I expected, because I've heard so few reports of people actually receiving their loan increase deposited into their account. In the last week or two, there's definitely been more reports, but still very few relative to the interest around this. So 22,000 have been approved so far. The average loan increase was more than $136,000 per loan, which is close to their previous loan limit of $150,000. And that was because you were able to up it to the 24 months of working capital. So of course, that's why people are going for this loan. And again, I've said this before, I'll say it again, this is a loan, this is not a grant. This is the loan portion. You will have to pay this back. So that's really important. Next question. Is there any estimated timeline for new loan increase approvals? If you request an approval now, what is the timeline for this? And they said that it takes about 30 days after the SBA receives a copy of the tax transcripts or tax returns to complete the processing of the loan request. Now, this kind of sucks. This kind of sucks because there are huge delays at the IRS for everything. Everything the IRS is doing, tax returns, just your general tax return, getting that completed, there's delays. The IRS has to start sending out these child tax credits monthly, and it seems like that might be delayed. There were some refunds on the unemployment tax credit, that's delayed. Like everything at the IRS is delayed, so this is pretty concerning for me, because we don't know how long it's gonna take for the IRS to actually send these tax transcripts to the SBA. So 30 days after that. So, I mean, conservatively, we could tack on another 30 to 60 days, most likely on top of the SBA's approval time of 30 days, which gives me an estimate of 60 to 90 days after you apply in order to receive that approval, which is not good. That is not good whatsoever. It's a long time to receive an approval. But that's what we're seeing with all these programs, is very, very slow approval times, because they make sure everything is in place, and it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, I know. Next question, I see the EIDL grant is being opened to new targeted applicants. Just to confirm, is this program first come, first served as to who gets funded? Now, I believe I've read this before, but I just wanted to confirm this because I know there's a lot of people concerned now that this is opened up to new businesses. You still have to hit the targeted criteria, but it's open up to new businesses who are like, okay, let's fund the people who have already applied first, and then maybe worry about the new businesses. So I wanted to address this. And they said we're now sending out follow-up invites to complete the supplemental targeted advanced application questions to new applicants. and the target, just the regular targeted as well. Those are sent daily. So depending on when a business submits a new EIDL loan application, they should receive the follow-up invite in the next 1 to 1.5 days. So what's good here is if you have followed this channel, you applied for the EIDL loan like 2 months ago when I was saying apply for the loan. That way you get your place in line, and you should already have that request for more information for the grant. If you applied for the loan and you have never received that invitation for the grant, make sure you check your bulk email, check your junk folder, your bulk folder, make sure it's not in there. If it's not in there, you'll want to call the SBA and ask them if the email has been sent. They're able to tell you if that email has been sent or not. So you should do that if you haven't received the email. It's not in your junk folder or bulk folder. As a reminder, businesses should use the 2019 tax returns to complete the EIDL loan application because the responses to the application questions asking for the gross annual revenues and cost of goods sold should be consistent with what the business reported to the IRS on the 2019 taxes. So I've read in the past, and I believe the SBA has told us in the past, that if there's a more than 25% discrepancy, you're going to get thrown in a different bucket for a manual review and more paperwork required. So you want to make sure that whatever you're putting on the EIDL application is accurate to your actual tax returns. Otherwise, who knows when you'll actually be funded? It's going to take you forever. So make sure those numbers are accurate. Next, when the business completes the follow-up application questions for the targeted EIDL advance, the 2019 gross monthly receipts, which is your revenue, should total the same amount as your tax return as well. Otherwise, again, you're going to run into tons of issues there. And here was some clarification that I thought was important for the targeted criteria. On the targeted EIDL and the supplemental targeted advance, you have to have that reduction in revenue of 30% for the targeted and 50% for the supplemental. But he is saying, just to clarify, it has to be greater than 30% and greater than 50% respectively. So if you're at 30% exactly, unfortunately that doesn't count. You have to be at 30.1. In order to hit that economic loss criteria, and 50.1% in order to hit the economic loss criteria for the supplemental targeted advance. The next question here, I've noticed the EIDL grants approvals per week have trended upwards. Is this a trend we can expect to continue, or are we nearing peak approvals? By my math, it would take about 40 weeks to fund the remaining grants at the prevailing rate, which is frankly too slow in my opinion. So what we've seen with the approvals, I can go over to the approvals here real quick because I have it pulled up. The approvals have been up and down. From 9,000 down to 4,000 to 6,000 up to 18,000 down to 13,000, 21,000. It's been like this, but still kind of trending upwards. I want to know, is this a trend that we can expect to keep on keeping on? And the answer here is yes. The past week, we've doubled the productivity on the targeted advances, but they went from 2,000 average approvals to 4,000 average approvals daily. And we have some other changes coming that would allow us to increase it further. However, obtaining tax transcript info causes delays, and the eligibility criteria for economic loss, the greater than 30% and 50%, takes some time to process, is what they're saying. And with this, they're basically saying don't expect much more than 4,000 approvals per day, which if that's 5 days a week, that's 20,000 approvals. If that is 7 days a week, then that is 28,000 approvals. So 28,000 approvals, let's do some basic math here. There's about 160,000 loans already approved. So 1 million minus 160,000, we got 840,000 loans remaining. 840,000 loans divided by, let's go even on the optimistic side, 28,000 approvals per week. That would take 30 weeks to approve the existing applications, not including the new businesses that have applied for this within the last week or two when they opened it up to new businesses. So 30 weeks. 3/5 of a year, 60% of a year, that is quite a while to get everyone approved, but it's tough. Like, I don't want to just be mad constantly. Like, I'm glad that it's trending in the right direction, but of course we just need people to get funded a little bit earlier. So I hope that this helped clarify some of the concerns and the questions floating around this program. If you have additional questions, leave those down below. Make sure you ask those, and I will ask the SBA if it's a good question. You know, I'm not going to ask them what their favorite food is or something like that. I'm not going to waste their time. But that's going to do it for today. If you appreciate this video, make sure you like and subscribe, because I'm doing my best over here to get out the very best information. And I would just like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.